Very good morning to you. This is Sunrise. Top stories today, a reckless act. Alarm in Japan after North Korea fires another ballistic missile. The search for a British tourist missing in Sri Lanka amid fears he may have been killed by a crocodile. Sky News on the front line of the fight against Islamic State in Syria as troops surround their last stronghold. We find Raqqa in ruins as a coalition of forces tries to rid the city of terror. Trial by media. A review is launched into whether careless posts on social media are undermining the criminal justice system. After 13 years of exploring the solar system, the Cassini probe will today smash itself into sand. And crowd trouble before Arsenal's Europa League win over Cologne as 20,000 fans arrive unexpectedly in London from Germany. Well, thanks for joining us on Sunrise this morning. We're starting with the UN Security Council today holding an emergency meeting after North Korea fired a missile from its capital, Pyongyang. The US military says it detected a single launch of an intermediate-range ballistic missile. It was fired east and flew over northern Japan before landing in the Pacific Ocean. The launch has been condemned by South Korea, Japan and the United States, with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson calling on all nations to take new measures against North Korea. Our Asia correspondent, Katie Stallard, reports.
Across northern Japan this morning, the sound of air raid sirens recorded on mobile phones. Tannoys warning to take cover that a missile had been launched.
I translate it with my phone translator. It's a find shelter in a basement. North Korea just launched a missile. Crazy.
This is the second time in just over 2 weeks that this has happened.
The international community needs to come together and send a clear message to North Korea that it's threatening world peace with its actions. Now is the time for the international community to come together. The latest sanctions need to be imposed in full. North Korea needs to be made to understand that if it continues on this path, there is no bright future for it.
South Korea's response was immediate, launching missiles of its own, intended to demonstrate it could target the North's launch site. The president convened an emergency meeting of his National Security Council.
President Moon ordered officials to closely analyse and prepare for new possible North Korean threats like electromagnetic pulse and biochemical attacks.
In the United States, President Trump has been briefed on the launch, but has so far left the talking to his Secretary of State, who called on China and Russia to do more. We call on all nations to take new measures against the Kim regime, Rex Tillerson said. China supplies North Korea with most of its oil. Russia is the largest employer of North Korean forced labour. China and Russia must indicate their intolerance for these reckless missile launches by taking direct actions of their own. Monday's unanimous vote on sanctions at the UN Security Council was intended to send a message of unity. But in reality, these nations are divided on where to go from here. Something Kim Jong-un knows only too well. This was him celebrating his latest nuclear test last weekend, surrounded by applauding generals and the regime elite. Since Donald Trump's threat to unleash fire and fury, North Korea has fired 2 missiles over Japan and carried out its most powerful nuclear test. Kim Jong-un is calling President Trump's bluff and daring him to do anything about it. Katie Stallard, Sky News, Beijing.
The case is in Beijing for us now. I mean, has this been a deliberately provocative move?
I think firing directly over the territory of Japan is seen as a very provocative move. It's the second time we've seen that done in just over 2 weeks' time now, and as you could see from the report there, it's pretty terrifying to people living underneath that flight path. You know, they were waking up this morning to those air raid sirens going off, the normal TV and radio programming is interrupted, a text message alert system goes into effect where there's a siren sound from your phone and a warning to take cover, to try to get into a sturdy building or try to move into an underground area that a missile is approaching. So it's very frightening for people living in that territory. It's something that we had seen some years ago now, but then in more recent tests we had seen North Korea avoid doing that. They tended to fire at a much steeper, what's known as a lofted trajectory, to be able to test the range of their missiles without taking that provocative step of flying over Japan. So I think what we are perhaps seeing now is the start of a process of normalising that approach from North Korea. So I mean, when the first one goes over, it's very shocking. The second one we've seen today, you know, it may be that they are trying to ascertain where the red line is, and if they can fire missiles regularly over the territory of Japan with no meaningful consequences, then you would expect them to continue doing so. I think in each of these missile tests we try to work out, you know, what is the signal we're being sent by this, and in this case, is this a reaction to the sanctions resolution that was passed on Monday? And I think, you know, that is one part of the message that is being sent today. But I think what we should not lose sight of is this underlying message that we're seeing with every missile test, with every nuclear test out of North Korea, which is the determination of that regime to acquire what it sees as an essential nuclear deterrent, and to get which it is prepared to suffer through whatever sacrifices, whatever short-term sanctions are necessary.
Katie, thank you.